Hi, how are you? Hey, thanks for joining me. You know, uh, I've been thinking as the date has been approaching of the last moments of my mom's life. And on this 1 year anniversary, I can't believe it's already been a whole year, but so much has happened. When people talk about a subject like this, it's kind of bittersweet because you remember how a person was in your life and the effects that that life has given to each one of us. And everybody has a different account of what that person was. There's a saying out there, what are you doing with the dash in your life? I was born in the tail end of the baby boomers. My date is 1963. I don't mind people knowing how old I am. It's just a number. But there's a dash, and I'm living in that dash right now. What are you doing with your dash? It's strange when someone passes away because you can actually define their dash because then there's an end date. I have such fluid memories of my mom in her particular dash, as well as my dad. I talk about this as a 1 year anniversary of how it affected me, what's happened to me as her caregiver since the passing of my mom on June 19th. I didn't want to mention the word grief because there's a negative connotation with that. I didn't really want to say death. That's a negative connotation. Passing is just a uninformal, less harsh way of saying what the previous words I mentioned. Death. Passing is just easier to swallow. Kind of like when people are unfaithful, you know, you don't want to call them an adulterer because it seems too harsh. So you say, oh, we're having an affair. What do they say these days? Oh, we had an entanglement. You know what? Bottom line, it's still the same. So who are we fooling? But ourselves, right? Where you can actually say, hey, in the absence of, I kind of like that. So here on the 1 year anniversary of my mom's absence, kind of makes it look like it's a temporary status, a holding period. Why do I want that? Because I believe in the afterlife. As a Christian, as a believer in Christ, I believe that there is life afterwards. I believe that my family is going to be waiting for me when it's my turn. And I'd like to actually believe that in this day and age, we are spirit beings, and that in the absence of my mom, that I'm going to be meeting up with them. So it's a temporary separation. It makes me feel better. My 1 year anniversary since my mom passed has been a hellacious 9 months. I am not joking. You know, when someone leaves this earth that's meaningful to you, that has left a major impact on your life, in my case, my mom, she's responsible for giving life to me, as was my dad, as in my Abba father. When these paradigms change, you change. You change a lot. And in this 12-month period that I've been journeying through and making a transition from caregiver to post caregiving to literally, they tell you to have self care when you're a caregiver, but really the self care comes after. Nothing is the same. You know you've changed. And in that realization, while you're trying to cope with the changes that are suddenly befallen on you, because you don't know when this event of death may occur. It's very confusing. Grief has no ending, I learned. It just subsides. You learn to live with it. It becomes a new part of you. It causes you to reflect on things, what to do, what not to do. You get to reevaluate your choices that you made previously in your life. You get to evaluate and start over. It's basically a clean slate. What kind of life improvements do you want to make for yourself? What do you want to change of yourself? What do you want to include? What do you want to discard? What do you want to involve yourself with? It literally defines your future, your choices. I've spoken about choices in the past, maybe not at this particular podcast, but I need to be real. I'm in the third quarter of my life. It brings on a whole different trajectory when you realize your parents have left before you. Oh my God, I'm next. Am I? These are the things that you do think about. You can either face it or you can look at it and say, I don't want to deal with it. Because bottom line, it's always about coping. What are you going to do with that information? Because the fact of the matter, it doesn't change. I'm 61 and a half. Is that right? Yeah, June. Yeah. Maybe a little bit more over half. But I'm aware that I'm in my third quarter. I'm still functional. I'm still able to do things. But I will admit I'm worn out. I will admit I am beat up. Caregiving is not for the faint of heart. I wouldn't change a thing. I'm surprised I'm actually saying that because I said for years, I'll take care of dad, but I never wanted to take care of mom. That was a personal thing. Things didn't turn out the way I thought it would. But you know what? In hindsight, always being 2020, I'm thinking, you know what? I'm glad because I'll never get my mom back again. But dealing with her estate, dealing as an executor to her estate, dealing with reverse mortgages. My mom had her house into a reverse mortgage, was everything but hellacious. It was completely stressful. I can't even begin to tell you how daunting it was. And if anybody in my age group is considering a reverse mortgage, hey, you know what? For my mom, it was the best thing for her. She lived a life without any stress. It worked out for her. But the people that are beneficiaries to that, the people that have to take care of it afterwards, oh my gosh, I think it added more years of aging to me. I laugh about it, but many, many days were spent crying. I got through it, but because of the things and the challenges of having to deal with an estate and a reverse mortgage, what normally should have only taken 3 weeks, maybe a little bit longer. Let's say it should have taken me 2 months, 3 months. It took me 9 months. So in this 1 year absence of my mom, 3/4 of it was taken dealing with the sale of her estate. I have other things going on in my life. I've seen who's stayed in my life and who's walked away. And that's fine because you have to evaluate your life. The dust is settling with the passing of my mom and dad. And I'm able to deal with other things that I was not able to deal with the previous 9 months. Maya Angelou had once said, and I'm paraphrasing this, but if people show you who they are, believe them the first time. I totally see who is there for me and who is not. I'm in the third quarter of my life. I don't necessarily think I want my life to be the way it used to be. I see the value of time. I see the value of people that I put into my life. I want quality life now. I want peace. They always make jokes about when you get to be a certain age, you just don't give a shit anymore. I'm sure they said other words other than that, but it's true because you realize time is not on your side. Tomorrow's not promised to anyone. But I ask you, what are you doing with your last quarter of your life? Chances are, and I'm assuming this, that we are within the same age group. There is an age group that is defined to take care of your parents. Unfortunately, if you're in a situation where you're dealing with Alzheimer's or dementia, it can hit at any time. But for the majority of the time, the people my age are dealing with their elderly parents and whatever ailments they have, whether it's cognitive or not. And somebody has to take care of them. So we're all traveling a similar road, but we're like warriors that don't really talk to each other because we don't have the time to talk to each other. We don't have the energy to speak to each other. We can't meet each other where we're at. But every week I make it a point to find a support group that I've been diligent with for the last 3.5 years. And I make it a point to do that because that's my self-care, that I can talk to people that understand where I'm coming from, who may have lost someone, that are losing someone, that understand what it's like to be in that journey, that hideous journey, the painful journey of having to deal with reality, that in life there's death, and what to do with yourself after the fact. How do you survive? Because you find yourself having to reinvent yourself. And that's why you have to choose, at least where I'm at today, who do I surround myself with? Because they define your character. They define who you are. They always say, show me your friends, and I'll know exactly the type of person you are. Like-minded people usually stick with like-minded people. So choose wisely, people. Happy people are usually kind. They're nice. Unhappy people, they're usually miserable, negative, and complain. Always feel like they're behind the 8 ball. What do they always say? Misery loves company. I always felt like I was taking care of somebody somehow, some way. I always felt for most of my life that I was the net underneath the acrobat's high wire act. If somebody needed something or whatever, I was always there to catch them. Maybe that's true. Maybe I signed myself up for that. But maybe that kind of defined as to why I ended up being my parents' caregiver. I didn't think that they would be the last people that I would catch, but I'm glad that I was there to catch them and to help them so that they landed softly in their passing. That's just, I have a servant's heart. I'm glad that I do. I love honesty. I love truthfulness. Those are the type of people that I'm always looking for, that I want to surround myself with. And God's blessed me with some really good people to surround me during this time because it's not fun. It's not easy. It's hard because you're literally pouring yourself into caring for someone, caring to make sure that they're comfortable, that they're clean, that they're safe, while you're trying to hold on to your own faculties so that you don't go insane and think that you're alone and all this other psychotic things of how to function. It's hard. But then in an instant, it's gone. Poof. that need for caring is gone. And you're left there standing going, okay, now what? I need to pick up the pieces. I got to make sure that everything's done. I got to get, the business of death is real. There is a business of death. There's certain things that you need to get done. But even still, while you're doing that, you're working off fumes because your body is like going, I'm so exhausted for what I just did. And then you're kind of dealing with the whole fact of, oh my gosh, why am I constantly tired? It's not because you were busy caregiving. It's like your body is just shutting down. Your brain is protecting yourself. You feel exhausted because you never had a really good night's sleep in all those times that you were taking care of. And not only that, grief, the physiological effects of a loss of a loved one will always be different than the next person. My sister's accounts of losing mom and dad are going to be different than mine. Mine are different than hers. Deborah's is going to be different than mine. It all depends on the depth of your relationship with that person. I can't identify with anybody else as much as they cannot identify with my loss. And it never goes away, but it gets better. And when you don't deal with it, it lingers and it intensifies. So when I have the urge to cry, I let it out because it's all a version of healing. Just like when all of a sudden I feel tired, I'll take a nap. Not because I'm old, because my body wants to heal. God created an incredible machine. Maybe machine's the wrong word, but he created something that could heal itself. And a lot of people don't even want to do that. I don't want to be lazy. I don't want to, you know what? Sometimes your body screams for things. You ever crave something that you want to eat? I don't know. Every once in a while, I have the craving for some sort of vegetable. It's more than likely because I'm lacking something in my body, a vitamin in my body. You know, maybe I'm lacking iron. So I'm like reaching for, I don't know, a spinach salad or whatever the case may be. Your body knows exactly what it needs. Those cravings are there on purpose. I decided in the last year, I have dialogue of my mom and me and life and what she's regretted and what she's wants for me. And it's caused me to remember things. It's caused me to look at my dad and what he had shared with me with his dash. I have to look at my 2/3 that I've already lived and say, what do I want in this part of my third? What do I want to take from the past and bring with me? Or what do I want to leave there? What are you going to do for you? I'm just assuming I have a full third left. I could be dead tomorrow. And that's okay. I know where I'm going. I know who I'm going to see when I go. I'm okay with that. But what am I going to do about me? Because now you almost have to be a little selfish and think, what am I going to do for me? There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong if you think that way too. If there's one thing I've learned, is make good with your maker. If you haven't done so, make good with God. Ask for that relationship with Jesus. Because at the end of the road, regardless of when that is, every single one of us have an appointment with him. And it's the very last meeting that's ever going to count. Because he will ask every single one of us, what did you do with my son? Your friends won't matter. Your family won't even matter. Your work won't matter. Nothing else will matter. And I guarantee that when we are on our deathbed, if we're even blessed to have a deathbed, if we're not taken suddenly, what did you do with it? That is the last question that we will ever deal with to decide our future. The Bible says it really easy. Choose life. Life comes in the form of Christ. Choose him. You know, my mom was raised in a household that was, I don't like religion. I don't like organized religion. I like a relationship with God. When I pray, it's basically a conversation. My mom fought it tooth and nail. But towards the end, we had a conversation. And I think she finally accepted it. Matter of fact, I don't think, I know. We talked so openly about it. And it wasn't until then that I saw peace rest on her face. We all want peace, don't we? We all want a peaceful life. I think half the times when we struggle, it's because of things that choices that we've made, decisions that we've made that put us in a different trajectory. But there's never a lack of opportunity to change course. What did I learn in this 1 year anniversary from my mom? I learned I'm a good person. I have a big heart. I don't regret taking care of my mom or my dad. I'm so grateful for my past. I'm very grateful. I love my first 60 years. I don't know if I'll get another 30. But what I do know, I'm not the same person. And I'm going to make it better. And it will be a happy, peaceful future for me. Because that's what my mom and dad wanted for me. And Mom, it's been a year. I love you. And I miss you. So remember to always be blessed. And remember to always be good to yourself. I'll see you in the next video. Bye. Hey, thanks for watching. And please remember to hit the subscribe button. We are trying to grow our channel and reach 1,000 subscribers. Now, for every new subscriber, these two nutheads right here, they're going to get a treat, so we will all be happy. Thanks for watching.